Okay, well, let's continue on. And this is the third part that I wanted to be talking about. And this is Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And I mentioned before that this was something that was significant enough to me that I remember being impacted by Daniel too. And I took what we're going to see in Daniel's prayer of thanksgiving to the Lord, and I wrote it in one of my textbooks. And it was something that I cherished to just be seeing how the Lord provides amazing things for us to know and to understand. And this is an illustration, if you haven't thought about what this statue would be that was in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. So this is Daniel 2. Now, in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was troubled, and his sleep left him. Then the king gave order to call in the magicians, the conjurers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. So they came in and stood before the king, and the king said to them, I had a dream, and my spirit is anxious to understand the dream. Then the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic. Once again, we see this. That was the language that they were using. So things are flipped into Aramaic rather than having it in Hebrew here. O king, live forever. Tell the dream to your servants, and we will declare the interpretation. The king replied to the Chaldeans, the command from me is firm. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you will be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be made a rubble heap. But if you declare the dreams and its interpretation, you will receive from me gifts and a reward and great honor. Therefore, declare to me the dream and its interpretation. So he's upset, he's anxious, and he wants they're going to have to do it all. And of course, this is going to be an extreme challenge. Because of this, the king became indignant and was furious and gave orders to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. So interesting how extensive he went ballistic. So the decree went forth that all the wise men should be slain, and they looked for Daniel and his friends to kill them. Then Daniel replied with discretion and discernment to Arioch, the captain of the king's bodyguard. And this is interesting. He has this is what is brought to him, and with discretion and discernment and being filled with the Spirit, he could think and said, how can I handle this in a wise way? So Arioch comes in, and who has gone for to slay the wise men of Babylon? He said to Arioch, the king's commander, for what reason is a decree from the king so urgent? So interesting, he asks a question and it starts to direct the conversation. Then Arioch informed Daniel about the matter. So Daniel went in and requested of the king that he would give him time in order that he might declare the interpretation of the king. So before he's received the interpretation, he informs the king that give me some time and I will interpret it. And I think this is a really an important part. Daniel prayed. This is something we see again and again in the life of Daniel, that Daniel prayed. And it's something that I think is just, we all should see if we can be holding on to this more. And so this is what is revealed to Daniel, and this is what I wrote in one of my textbooks. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a night vision, and Daniel blessed the God of heaven, and Daniel said, let the name of God be blessed forever and ever, for wisdom and power belong to him. It is he who changes the times and the epochs. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. It is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. To you, O God of my Father, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and power. Even now you have made known to me what we requested of you, for you have made known to us the king's matter. Wonderful celebration and sharing that with the Lord. So Daniel was ready, and so therefore Daniel went to Arioch, who the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and spoke to him, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me into the king's presence, and I will declare the interpretation to the king. Then Arioch hurriedly brought Daniel into the king's presence and spoke to him as follows: I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can make the interpretation known to the king. And so this is what is going to happen. He's going to reveal this to the king. And so he is already, before this has happened, he's received the interpretation in a prayerful way. He has pre-played what's going to happen in this situation. And so that's another thing that we can be thinking about, being prepared before we speak. And he is very much in that frame of mind. So the king said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, are you able to make known to me the dream which I have seen and its interpretation? And look how Daniel responds. As for the mystery about which the king has inquired, neither wise men, conjurers, magicians, nor diviners are able to declare it to the king. However, there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will take place in the latter days. This was your dream and the vision and your mind while you were in bed. And then he tells the details. As you know, O king, while you were in bed, your thoughts turned to what would take place in the future. And he who reveals mysteries has made known to you what will take place. But as for me, this mystery has not been revealed to me for any wisdom residing in me more than in any other living man, for the purpose of making the interpretation known to the king, and that you may understand the thoughts of your mind. So he gives credit to the Lord, and so it doesn't want the focus to be on him. And so this is one of the things that I found when I did some research that gives an eye to be thinking about it. And so perhaps Babylon is ahead, the Mede Persian. And so this is Darius is the second part. So we have Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar. Then we have Darius the king. Then it goes to Greece and Rome and possibly some other type of aggregation beyond that. And so these are just trying to give some idea of the empires that are going to come. And so a prophetic uh, layout of what's going to happen in the future is given to Daniel. So you, O king, were looking, and behold, there was a single great statue, that statue which was large and of extraordinary splendor, was standing in front of you, and its appearance was awesome. The head of the statue was made of fine gold, its breast and its arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You continue looking, and a stone was cut out without hands, and it struck the statue on the feet of the iron and clay and crushed them. Then the iron and the clay and the bronze and the silver and the gold were crushed all in the same time, because like chaff from the threshing floors, and the winds carried them away, so that not a trace of them was found. But the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So we're seeing this prophetic of how this is starting to go through. And this is the interpretation. We will tell this interpretation before the king. You, O king, are the king of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, the strength, and the glory. And wherever the sons of men dwell, or the beasts of the field, or the birds of the sky, he has given them unto your hand and has caused you to rule over them. You are the head of gold. Perhaps this is why he goes ahead and makes a gold statue, which will come later. After you, there will rise another kingdom inferior to you, and this is the iron kingdom, then another kingdom of bronze, which will rule over all the earth. There will be a fourth kingdom as strong as iron, as much as iron crushes and shatters all things. So like iron, it breaks in pieces, it will crush and break all things in pieces. And that you saw the feet and toes partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. It will be divided kingdom, but it will have in it the toughness of iron, inasmuch as you saw the iron mixed with common clay. As the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of pottery, so some of the kingdom will be strong and part of it will be brittle, and that you saw the iron mixture with common clay. They will combine with one another in the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, even as iron does not combine with pottery. And in the days of those kings, the gods of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, and that kingdom will not be let for another people. It will crush and put an end to all these kingdoms, but it will itself endure forever. Inasmuch as you saw that a stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and then it crushed the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, and the great God has made known to the king what will take place in the future. So the dream is true and its interpretation is trustworthy. And then our final chart. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face and did homage to Daniel and gave orders to present to him as an offering of fragrant incense. So he wants to worship Daniel. The king answered Daniel, says, surely your God is a God of God and the Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, since you have been able to reveal this mystery. Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts, and he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. So, and Daniel made a request to the king, and he also appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the administration of the province of Babylon while David was at the king's court. So amazing thing for us to be thinking about, and I'll just leave us to have a couple of questions to reflect on this. What impresses you most about the king's dream? Why did the king not tell the wise men what his dream was, but demanded they tell him? How did Daniel prepare for meeting the king? And what happened to Daniel as a result of what happened in that vignette? Okay, thank you very much. That's it for this portion.